Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Stone. Today I'm going to be presenting on Auguste Rodin. Auguste Rodin is the father of modern sculpture, and he is often referred to as the best sculptor of his time. Hi everyone, my name is Sydney Stone. Today I'm going to be presenting on Auguste Rodin. Auguste Rodin is the father of modern sculpture, and he is often referred to as the best sculptor of his time. Today, he is best known for his sculpture The Thinker, which is famous worldwide and can even be seen in pop culture and movies like Night at the Museum. However, Rodin came from humble beginnings, was not accepted early in his career, and proved to be quite controversial throughout his career. Rodin was born in 1840 to a poor man named Jean-Baptiste Rodin. He was really close with his older sister, Maria, who was his confidant and loyal friend. Auguste's love of drawing was apparent from a young age, and his father, Jean Baptiste, saw that his son, not being a conventional student, had an aptitude for the arts. So at the age of 13, he was sent to study at a small fine arts school. On the left and in the middle, Skeleton and Skull and the Male Nude are drawings that Auguste did when he was in school, and they reflect his later sculpting styles. At the age of 19, Rodin attempted to gain admittance to a more prestigious school, and although his drawings and sketches gained him acceptance, his sculptures failed on 3 occasions. His inability to gain admittance was probably due to the fact that he had a naturalist style which went against the grain at the time, and he had non traditional approaches to sculpting, marking him as an artist who would go on to change the form of sculpture itself. Instead of pursuing drawing, like many pushed him to do, Rodin decided to pursue a variety of occupations which had him assisting other artists. However, during this time, his sister Maria died suddenly, proving to be a life changing event and impacting his later work as seen in his work Brother and Sister on the left. Brother and Sister demonstrated the pain and anguish he felt at the loss of his dear Maria and the tender bond they shared in life. This piece is actually very different from a lot of his other pieces as it reflects his own personal emotions. He quit drawing and sculpting for a time and entered into the Congregation of Blessed Sacrament. It was here where he met Father Emerald, the man who prompted Rodin to begin sculpting again. It was him who posed for Rodin and told him that it was God's will for him to create art. Unlike other artists, Rodin went with the grain of the church and rebelled against what was socially acceptable in the art critics' circle. Father Emerald's bust is well known, especially in Paris, but he himself can be caught on record saying that he disliked the resemblance, thinking it made him look like the devil. Maria was Auguste's first muse, being his confidant and best friend. Rose, his common law wife, was another muse of his, going by the name of Mignon or Cutie in French in many of his pieces. Lastly, Camille Claudel, whose individual talents were powerful in their own right, was a co-worker and lover of Auguste's. Rose, Maria, and Camille show how important women were in the works and life of Rodin, inspiring him and motivating him to capture the true essence of these women's emotions and physicality. These women were Rodin's incentive, and the fact that they were the focal point of many of his pieces became a controversy on more than one occasion. Rodin's career began to incline after he saw Michelangelo's Dying Slave, prompting him to create Age of Bronze, which would mark a turning point in his career and his reputation. Many art critics of the time speculated that Rodin had made Age of Bronze from a cast of a live model instead of sculpting it by hand. However, these fraudulent charges were put to rest after it was bought by the Secretary of Ministry of Fine Arts, who also commissioned Rodin to create Gates of Hell. Gates of Hell shows how much work went into Auguste's pieces. Being inspired by Dante's Inferno, the piece went through 3 in-depth preliminary models before the final piece seen today was sculpted and put into place. I found it really interesting to discover that the Thinker and the Three Shades were both sculptures found in Gates of Hell. Rodin worked his entire life to create different versions of his sculptures, but some, like Gates of Hell, he never actually desired to finish, a fact that infuriated a lot of art enthusiasts at the time. Instead of finishing Gates of Hell as a whole, Rodin took aspects from the piece and worked with the different aesthetics which they provided. Many parts of Gates of Hell are well known as statues on their own, like Meditation, Shame, Eve, and the Three Shades, which includes a figure of Adam. I find it really interesting that each of these pieces can tell its own story without having to be a part of the grand scheme. During a time of Impressionism, Rodin's naturalism proved to be quite the controversy. His aesthetic mainly is centered around the human body, following what he saw as the natural flow of human anatomy and the freeing aspects of approaching sculpture in such a way. This naturalistic approach allowed August to discover his individualism, play with light and shadows, incorporate emotion, and discover techniques such as surface modeling. He allowed most of his pieces to stand on their own, conventionally finished or not, damaged or perfect. Rodin's ability to have his audience resonate with bronze and stone, his desire to capture the nature of his model, and his acceptance of what he saw around him made his style a hallmark during his tenure and today. Auguste Rodin was known for being rebellious against academic standards and risque in nature due to his unapologetic sculptures and powerful imagery. He wished to be placed alongside the greatest artists of all time like Michelangelo and Dante, and while each of his works produced admiration and controversy, he is an artist whose works were sought out during his lifetime and in present day. He collected art from friends like Claude Monet, Vincent van Gogh, and Fritz Thaulow, and he had many admirers during his life, which is part of the reason why his art was conserved after his death in 1917. His work and determination to stay true to his style and passion paved the way for a new century of modern sculpting and made the sculpting we see today broad, emotional, vivid, translucent, and making the human form more accessible and expressive, marking him as a recognizable figure to the general public today.